Yo, what's up guys? In this week's video, I'm going to make a gnome house in a tree completely from scratch. And I'm going to teach y'all how to do it. This build was a lot of fun and honestly super easy. I'm Imagine, Create, Destroy, and let's get started, y'all. To start this build, we got some aerospace grade equipment, masking tape, a hobby knife, XPS foam, you know, the usual. I use this stuff to cut out a circle-y do that I'm going to use to make the trunk and the larger limbs of this tree. When cutting out circles, we're going to make one slice and then we'll just rotate it slowly around, slicing as we go. This will give you a pretty neat looking circle. Then we'll just repeat that process 9 times, prime them black and glue it all together. Now while we do that, we can go ahead and get into the inspiration for this build, which is nothing because I thought of it myself. But honestly, I probably saw it somewhere, forgot that I saw it somewhere, and then now I'm pretending like it's my own original idea. But anyway, I repeated that process another 4 times, and these 4 will be for the limbs of the tree. I'm going to start out by carving the limbs. The reason I want to do this is because I want to blend the limbs into the base of the tree. So to start, I cut off a little section on each side, and then I made a little rough outline of what the final limb's going to look like. We'll carve it down a bit from there, and then we'll just round it out. Next, I primed everything black that's going to be into contact with super glue. Then I glued the limbs on to the base of the tree, and after that we can start blending in the trunk into the limbs. Now after that pretty bad transition, we'll go ahead and just trim up the trunk so everything's flush, and then I'm going to start blending in the limbs to the tree trunk. Now do be careful, or don't, I don't know, I'm not your mom. But I definitely sliced my thumb open with that fresh blade and it hurt pretty bad. I super glued that cut shut and then we can move on to the next part. I filled that little gap with some random foam pieces, then blended each limb into each other. And once again, primed everything that's going to come into contact with super glue black, just so the foam doesn't melt. And now we can take some real sticks, glue those into place. These will act as the smaller tree branches. Alright, now we can bust out some mini trees to make our bigger tree. This is just some spring foam moss. We'll cut off the little pieces and it makes perfect branches for the actual tree. We'll go ahead and super glue those on. I use some accelerator just so I don't have to sit there and hold it like an idiot until the super glue dries. Go ahead and cover the whole top of the tree with those. And then we'll move on to detailing the base of the tree. Now the base is looking pretty dumb, so let's fix that. I cut a V shape down the middle of the tree and I did that on 2 sides, leaving me this open space in the middle. After that, I just rounded it off and it gives us this really cool look. I did that all the way around the tree and the end result is honestly really awesome. I'm going to set that to the side for now and get to work on the door. The door is pretty simple. I'm going to start off by laying out these sticks on some tape. I do this just to hold it into place while I glue over the top. Then I'll just use my finger and give this a good smear.
I'll make sure you respect the smear, right?
And if you can tell me what that audio is from, let me know down in the comments. That guy's my favorite. We can go ahead and debondage this thing. Then I'll send little chunks flying, trim off the edges there. Cut it down into the size of a mini gnome door, I guess. Then we can go ahead and hot glue that on and work on the trim for the door. For the trim, I use pieces of bark. Then I use a little bit of stick as the doorknob. We want to give that tree some tree-like tree texture. Just use a wire brush, brush it a little bit, kind of simulate the look of bark. And now I'm going to make the windows. I use this with some sticks, super glued them together, and then we just glued that to a piece of balsa wood, so we have something that can kind of back the windows. Trimmed off the excess, hot glued those onto the tree, and then we can call the windows good. Now we can get to work on the biggest regret of my life, this gazebo. Honestly don't like it just because it does hide the door. I wish I would have made it a little bigger so you can actually see it, because the door is my favorite part of this build. But I used some of the same sticks I glued together for the door, weathered it up a little bit, then glued it to the tree, and used some sticks as supports on the front. I primed the whole model a dark brown with my airbrush off camera. You could use a rattle can too, it'll work just as good. Next I'm going to use some shrubs by AK Interactive. Now these things are expensive and I was kind of running out, so the top is a little sparse when it comes to greenery, but that's okay, it still looks pretty good. And that gives me an excuse to go on a shopping spree at AK Interactive's website. Then I just dry brush with a slightly less dark brown, and then an off-white, not brown, off-white. I super glued the model to the base, then super glued on some plaster rocks. I showed how to make these in a previous video. I don't really remember which one, so I guess you'll just have to go back and watch them all till you figure it out.
Oh, dude, you actually make a pretty good point. Yeah, I guess I don't really want to go.
Then I just used some PVA glue to glue on this yellow lichen, kind of act as moss for the build. Next up, we can move on to the ground level. I'm going to use this light earth texture paste and then some desert sand to add a little depth. We'll press that into place with my finger to lock it in. I'm going to use this dark green, I guess it is. I don't really know what color that is, to base coat the rocks. Then I'll use a little gray and wet blend it into the rock to add some variation. Now, I know rocks aren't normally green, but it's also a house and a tree, so don't think into it too much. While that dries, I'll move back to the ground. I wanted to try something a little different, so instead of base coating this fully, I just used an Agrax earth shade over the whole ground, and it came out great. I love the color variation that you get. It really looks nice and natural. Alright, let's spice up these rocks a little bit. Did a dry brushing of a medium gray, then dry brushed on an off-white, just to make the edges pop a little bit more. Also dry brushed a little pathway from the door coming out with the same off-white I used for the rocks. After that, we can use a little pigment powder just to give a little more variation in the ground. Then we can move on to adding the grass tufts. While I add the tufts, I just wanted to thank y'all for watching the video. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you did enjoy the content, maybe shoot me a like, a little comment, a little subscribey-wibey. But anyway, I do appreciate it. In here, I just wanted a nice full grass look, so I used a bunch of tufts and then added a little moss to the rocks. Lastly, we can paint the windows with the black 4.0, and we'll also paint the sides with that same black 4.0. And that's another diorama down. Now let's roll the beauties. I'll catch y'all next week. Peace.